bucket list, this would be at the top. This is just a dream come true for all of us to be here in the Black Box. Thank you, Rob, for organising. So, in no particular order, I'm going to bring the guys on one by one. So, please give a very big Belfast Gulder for the sexiest man on keyboards since Gilbert O'Sullivan retired, Jim the Lips Lockhart. The best thing that came out of Tyrone since Hugo left it, Barry the bass Devlin! Barry stepped out of character to wear black. He's the world's biggest Hugo fan. And the fleetest fingers on a fretboard ever, Johnny Fearless Fean! You probably know these guys can talk for Ireland, but you all were very good at putting in some questions, so let's rattle through a few. Barry, try not to hog all the answers all the time.
I think Miles may do that for us. He's the new spokesman for the band.
Yeah, I was going to say Miles. Next answer, salient points, okay? Oh, that's it. Okay, let's start off. I don't know who asked this. This is Rob, yeah. What is your own, very quickly, your own personal favourite Horslips? This is the 45th anniversary of the town, is it?
Yeah.
They keep saying 40, but it must be 45.
Well, what's
your favourite album?
This thing we do, it's the 45th of the time, but it's also the 44th of Happening Sorry to Part.
Of course it is.
The 42nd.
It'll be the 37th and
It's always an anniversary just around the next corner. And it's a brilliant excuse to have a party. And I'm looking out there and I'm only starting to recognise all the faces. And it's just brilliant that you're here and that you've all come out. So congratulate yourselves. It is a party night.
Yeah, my own personal favourite is Aliens. We had done the book of Invasions, of course, and it was great and but there was something for me, just something special about the Aliens album, the songs, the tunes we picked as well, and it became my favourite album. Yeah. So.
And those were all the days of albums. Was there always a big debate in the confab about what's the order? I mean, was that always? Did you come to blows over that, or who had the final say? Who had the casting vote?
There was really no final say. We were democracy, and there was years ago and this is a story. We were stuck. We all had the flu in a place in Stuttgart, in the Bahnhof Hotel in Stuttgart, and the barman.
So what year are you talking like?
1977, 76 or 77. The barman was an ex-Panzer commander who'd lost one arm and an eye, and he didn't really relate to us, and he used to wash the glasses like this, but we all had the flu and we're all drinking to cure the flu, and so he emerged from behind the cash register and said, "So you're a group?" And we went, yeah, we're a group, we have the flu. And he went, "So who is the Führer of your group?" This is word for word. So Jimmy, being Jimmy, said, "Well, we don't have a Führer. We're actually we're democratic sort of a band, democratische." And he went, "Democratische, that's a good one," and walked in behind the cash register and never talked to us again.
Apropos, Radiohead had a similar kind of story. Tom York was asked who was the leader of the band. He said, "No, Radiohead's like the United Nations, and I'm America."
Sorry, but Johnny, I had no idea that Aliens was your favourite album, because it's my favourite. As it happens, it was my favourite album. It's the one that people, you tend not to choose it, but there was great work went into it. We were playing, I think we were kind of playing well. It's kind of an austere album in a way.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's great as a book of Invasion as well. But I think, the band also as a live band had become such a really tight unit. And as I said, there was just something magic about you know, the recording of it and everything, you know. And it is, you know, like it became. I don't think it wasn't like instantly, you know, or even in the first 6 months or a year, but it did become like the favourite album.
Yeah, there was Alan Duffy.
Yeah.
So you weren't in the band then, obviously, Lally. So you're talking more as a fan. It's interesting that you think of the gigs, or you can use this one. You think of the albums as from the point of view of putting them together. But what's your favourite?
I'm going to answer for everybody here in the room because I'm the rookie in the pack. I have my own favourites, but I think everybody in here would say every single one of them.
Lally's running for president. He's obviously not going to win.
President in this band.
Here's a really wacky question from Don Rogers. Did Krista Berg audition for Horslips? And do you think he nicked the riff on his song Revolution from Jarek Doom? Is that a very well known? Everybody's going, oh yeah, sure, yes. That's on page 26.
I didn't know he had a song called Revolution.
Did
Did he audition for Horslips? Not exactly.
Well, the story must come from somewhere.
There was a suggestion that he might make a singer guitar thing. We entertained it for about 15 minutes and then we dropped that idea.
Did you feel that he needed more eyebrows in the band?
But he did. I reckon he just got pissed off hanging around. It took me 40 years to join the band. Christopher wasn't going to fucking wait that long.
He did play support. He played support. He got into the Teraways, and him and Charles O'Connor used to play soccer together. The ball fell into the stream in Uachtarard, and the two lads went in after it and nearly drowned because, you know, it wasn't that deep a stream, but they were very small. One of them would have been a great loss.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome all the way, Christopher.
Actually, yes, it was, because not only is it lifted. I didn't know the name of the song, but he rang me up one day and said, "I'm just trying to get the notes of the riff on Jarek Doom right." So he got me to actually elucidate what way the riff went. So it goes down right there. Yeah, that's right. No, it doesn't go. No, it goes down there. Oh, really? Okay. And so have I got that bit right? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So he actually rang to make sure that it wasn't going to be it was going to be not close enough to be copyrighted.
Just when you thought you couldn't hear him anymore. She's on close, that way. Yes, you have used as a more sensible question from Kieran O'Crowley. Crowley? Is Kieran here? Kieran? What? Sean.
Sean.
And Shaw. Oh. Tamig Fulham Gaelic Ganesh. Not very good. You've used a lot of old Irish airs in your song. Did you ever consider recording more songs in Irish?
Out the gym.
Answer a scalige.
Dating Europe the
We'll translate for the prods.
The ranch, the river stuff in Australia. Yeah, the river ranch stuff in Australia. There was a couple around Ellen Vannon, August. There was a Welsh tune actually, Blather Drain. Blather being flowers, as in blonde, because blood is blah. Because they're actually quite close, although the pronunciation between Welsh and Irish is like so different that they're usually pretty unintelligible. But you can see relationships, you know, as you look at them. And we've been doing. We just recorded for the Beeb last night. We did a version of Slán Lamoy with Sideways to the Sun with John McSherry and Donald O'Connor and Sean O'Graham Ullid for a programme that the Beeb are going to be putting out in the new year. So that sounded gorgeous. So yeah, and we did it a couple of weeks ago with Lisa Lamb singing Slán Lamoy as an intro, which is really nice. So yeah, it would be nice to actually do a bit more of that. But
we meant to have Lisa singing it last night. So it was going to be Lisa singing it and Ullid playing the pipes and fiddles and long whistle. And Lisa got sick, got a bug. So it's still an ambition to do Slán Lamoy with Lisa and yeah.
Everybody can then say, finally, they got the girl singer.
Well, speaking of recording new stuff, but what about archive? John wanted to know, have you plans to release any of the vast archives that apparently there are of unreleased tracks? Do you have vast archives?
Now I think we're pretty expert in barrel scraping. There's some stuff there, but
There is?
yeah.
Well, for the real fans who want, every little last minute of it in studio.
The last gem that was found was The Rights of Man, which was on the Masters from the Book of Invasions, and that was gorgeous when you found that. So there may be something out there. There's a couple of many bootlegs. I know lads in here have shared bootlegs with me, and they're asking me tonight, have you got one? I think I have that. Can you get a copy of that? So there's a couple of good bootlegs out there, because Iredale used to put a tape in the deck. Every time I remember being at the Beachmount Hotel in Navan and the Imperial in Dundalk and all sorts of places.
Famous Beachmount tapes,
Yeah, the Beachmount tapes. And you'd buy Steve Iredale a pint and he'd take it out of the deck and give it to you. There you go. Oh my God!
But there is no. I wish we had a load of archive material. Well, there are some very bad songs in our past, but
That's maybe what he means.
We had the good sense to not record them, or not record them for posterity. But we have very, very little stuff that we haven't put out.
You got good use out of everything.
Yeah, because we had so little time to write albums. We wrote them, recorded them, and post-produced them in 6 weeks. And so you kind of wrote as many as you could.
Well, how did you just stop doing that after 10 years? How did you just give it up? Was it not hard just to walk away from all of that and not to feel the itch to get back together and write again?
Well, I think we kind of run out of steam, had we?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
A creative thing.
But now you're kind of hanging out together a bit and doing some gigs. Do you sit and write the way you used to? I love it. They look at each other like a married couple.
We've been doing a bit of writing because Paul Muldoon. We did some stuff with Muldoon back in the early 70s when he was a producer in the Beeb in Belfast, and then a couple of years ago through Cathy McCullagh in Armagh. He's the patron of the John O'Connor Festival. So we met up again, and he said, listen, I have a couple of lyrics here, do you think you'd be able to do something with them? So we knocked up a couple of things with him, and we've been doing stuff since then, and we did some music for a translation he recently did of Queen Artilera, the Lament for Art O'Leary. So we've been doing that, and we did a couple of more songs, and we've also been, he did a great one in Armagh. He said, could you lay down sort of a funky backing? So we laid down a sort of a funky backing, and he came out and said, I will arise and go now, and go to Innisfree.
So it actually goes, da 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 da, I will arise and go now. Go to Innisfree. Da 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 da, a small town builder.
It actually started as a 12-bar blues thing, because Johnny says, just follow me on 12, and I go, what? So we're in this thing, and we're sitting along, and then he said, no, we'll try something else, we do something funky. So I was, and he's going, yeah, it's the hips and all, and then I was like, this will work. So it was completely impromptu.
Working with Muldoon has been great fun.
And will you not record those kind of, I mean, they are class.
We will. I mean, we did River to Your Right, and
that was good.
Nothing to write home about on the at the Culture Night. There are plans to
with the orchestra, which is nice.
Yeah,
it's collaboration.
He's not as pretty as Lisa Lamb, but he is technically a new lead singer. So it's fun to do that stuff. It's fun to get that kind of writing muscle organised again without actually having to write anything. So Muldoon, for those of you who don't. No, I'm sure you all do, but he, aside from the fact that he's now probably the greatest poet writing in Irish, certainly the greatest Irish.
Michael Longley has something to say about that.
Oh yeah, well, that's Michael.
Nothing coherent.
But Michael doesn't know anything about his Vox CC30s, and Muldoon definitely does. But Muldoon is co-written with people like Warren Zevon and Springsteen, and so we're very pleased to have him cheap. He does stuff for us now. Bit of a discount.
Muldoon brought Michael Longley to a Horslips gig in the early 70s in the Ulster Hall, and Michael Longley was talking about it, and he said, I was slightly taken aback because towards the end of the evening everybody seemed to be getting up on their chairs, and Paul turned to me very quietly and said, now would be a good time to stand up on the chair.
And
Michael got his groove.
Michael Agnew said, he said, so I thought, there's a poet of my stature, the sort of person who actually gets up on a chair at a rock concert. And then I thought, I'd better do it. So I just wanted you to know, young Devlin, that I did stand on the seats at one of your concerts. And we were so thrilled,
Michael Longley stands on seats. Here's a really left of field one for you, Johnny. Do you always prefer the Les Paul Jr.? That's from Donald. Donald, who needs to get out a bit more. They're all here tonight. This is your chance. Get the anorak zipped right up, guys. Come on. Give me it, Johnny. Every detail.
Well, from day one with me, it's always been the Les Pauls. I took to the Les Paul when I was about 16. I think it was probably back in 1967 or something. I first became aware, that's when I first became aware of the great Les Paul. I had a choice, of course, between a Stratocaster, Telecaster and Les Paul. The thing about it is, actually, I didn't really have a choice, because in Ireland, first of all, we were too poor to afford these things, and there were few and far between. I remember looking at guys in show bands and sort of being jealous that the guitar player always had a Stratocaster or a Telecaster. It was wonderful. But when I first heard the Les Paul, I was completely blown away by the whole complexity of the sound and the body of the guitar, which the body of sound, which it's a mahogany body, but it's incredibly full sound. And for me, that was, from the first person I ever heard playing a Les Paul. I got hold of 1966 John Mayall's blues records that featured Eric Clapton, and Clapton was the first man ever to marry a Les Paul with a Marshall amp. He's the one that invented it. But that sound completely blew me away, and from that day, I was working then in the late 60s and trying to scrape money together to get a Les Paul. Eventually got a Les Paul copy, which even back in those days in 1969 was a big deal. It was a black Zenta Les Paul, I think it was. Dreamed that one day I would have a real Les Paul. And the dream came true in 1972 when I joined Horslips, and I got my very first gold top Les Paul, and from then on that was it.
Can I ask you a question?
There's been a few juniors along the way as well, and as you all know, probably the famous 59 junior is still there, but they're all Les Pauls, all Les Pauls.
Can I just say, this man is an absolute living legend. We have very few guitarists, and all the guys. Well, hang on just a second. My guitar hero. There's a million budding Johnny Faines out there, and every one of them plays Les Pauls and Strats and Fenders and the whole lot, and they have Cape Canaveral of pedals in front of them. This man, you'll see him in the next while. Not a pedal in sight. It's all done there. It's just genius.
What's genius? I can't afford any.
Jim, did you have a question?
Yeah, well, just out of curiosity, since we're talking about guitars, we were talking the other day, the question came up of who'd be your favourite guitarist, because I know you do Peter Green, you do Carlos Santana, you do Clapton, you do Hendrix.
Yeah, the thing about it is, I suppose it comes down to like some of the songs that I do that when I'm playing with my own band, or playing that are cover songs. my favourite would probably be Peter Green. It's just the touch that the man has, and you know, is absolutely incredible. But it's incorporating, I suppose, the different influences, really, you know, from different. You know, I always try to be myself as much as I can. Well, with Horslips, it's completely Johnny Fean, and then if I'm doing maybe, as I say, a cover, you know, I'll try and incorporate what that guitar player, you know, is doing with on that particular song. So it's kind of a combination of both. The early influences for me were sort of Django Reinhardt, Clapton, Hendrix probably more so than Clapton, but I got listening at an early stage to some marvelous jazz guitar players. Wes Montgomery is a big influence as well. So it's that kind of combinement of all those players, you know, that you eventually you work your way through, and if you're lucky that you can come up with a signature of your own, sound of your own, you know. So that's more or less the way it's kind of evolved over the years, yeah.
Johnny, what about Rory Gallagher? Can I ask you about
Sorry?
that? What about Rory Gallagher?
What about Rory Gallagher?
Rory, yeah, Rory. I really like Rory, actually. Not really, no, but no, not.
I know it's a different style of music.
Yeah, although I've always admired Rory greatly, you know, but I couldn't honestly say he was an influence on. I suppose I was slightly in a different direction to Rory in what I wanted to kind of achieve. So yeah, but I've always admired Rory. You know, admired him greatly. Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. You know, great.
Thank you. Okay, there's a chance for revelations now. The 30 Years Official Secrets Act has come to pass. John and Teresa McGee want to know, have you as a band any night or incident or happening that you look back on and say, Jesus, that was mad, that you can actually tell us about now that enough time has passed and possibly some of the people aren't with us anymore? I'm sure there's such a rake of stories that you don't know where to start. I'm looking at you, Barry. You're the likely lad for this one.
This is when you blank, you know, because your entire wife flashes in front of your eye.
I think the point as a band was the clue, not your own personal, you know, list.
Jim said Carndunna, you know, we almost anything to do with Carndunna was completely mad in the head. It was the lilac ballroom.
For those of us who don't know, can you elucidate that?
You know, there was a rule that you had if you were playing a big ballroom. Everybody knew this rule. It wasn't rocket science. If there was a fight, and there was always a fight, you didn't look at the fight, because if you looked at the fight, everybody joined in. You know, so there's people murder each other over here, and you're resolutely pointing that way. But there was one night in Carndunna, we saw the entire audience doing something that I'd never seen an audience do before, which was they lay down on the ballroom floor, and I kind of went, that's not good. Something very bad happening here. But we kept playing. We're playing, I think, China Groves. And then we looked over in the corner, and there were two men in balaclavas with Kalashnikovs. And that was really bad. And so I kind of went, as long as they don't start firing, we're probably not so bad. So then they started firing, and I kind of went, no, that's really. They fired 2 shots into the ceiling, and then they disappeared. And the audience got back to its feet. And our only concession to panic was that we couldn't get out of the middle 8 of China. Just kept playing it over and over again, and eventually ground to a halt. But it turned into high farce. When the guys went outside to make a getaway, the car wouldn't start.
They didn't get any money for a start. They've got no money, that's why.
And they'd also got no money.
Well, they weren't just shooting in the air to make you stop playing.
No, what happened? Nick, are you sure? Are you suggesting the musicians?
Fucking middle 8.
Anyway, they pulled a courting couple from their cortina and drove off in it, and it developed a flat tire. So some sort of a metaphor, and they were caught further down the road. But it was scary at the time.
The courting couple is a complete euphemism because they were buck naked and the windows were steamed up. And the car had been bouncing quietly in the corner of the car park, and now they knew there was somebody there.
The tyre was flat before it left the car park. Oh man.
There was one other that I remember, which is, you were always pleased when kids came up and approached you and said that they liked the band, and so you were always, it was lovely when that happened. There was a young fella in Derry who wandered up to us, and he seemed a bit puzzled, but he said, I don't do a good Derry accent, I'm not going to try that. Do you know, I must have seen you maybe 15 or maybe 16 times, and here's the thing, the more I see you, the less I like you. And he was puzzled and sad about it. He didn't mean it as like, I said, what can I do about this? What can be done here?
Yeah, he kept coming back for more.
There was another young lad come up to us after a dance in Donegal one night. I don't know where it was, and he was one of those. There was a thing of like baggy jeans with kind of bits of tartan around the bottom, and the baggy up to about here. It was like basically
Skinners, yeah. Basically really
He
Skinners.
was an affable enough lad. He was very friendly and stuff. So he sort of melted. We were bringing the stuff out and throwing our bags into the car and getting ready to head off. And he went around, he shook hands very warmly with everybody, sort of took everybody's hand in his two hands and shook hands and sort of a bit of a hug and stuff. And he said, "Geez, great to see you, Dad. Tell us this, have you a cure for the ringworm?"
Oh yes. I tell you, Mick Jagger apparently has the cure for the ringworm.
Do you not tell tales out of school, Johnny? You don't tell tales out of school, do you?
I'm trying to remember one here, but
Well, the trying to remember brings us to somebody wanted to ask you, who wanted to ask you, Jim Lockhart, were you actually there?
That's an ecumenical matter.
That's right.
Oh, I think that it's pretty much an open joke at this stage that I genuinely, if it happened between 1970 and 1980, with a few rare exceptions, I have no fucking recollection of it. I have no idea why that could be the case. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Despite the fact that in most cases Jim was the guy who started it. Was I there? And on one famous occasion, will I be there?
Are you here tonight? Are you here already?
One of the joys of hanging with the lads and listening to them talk, and once you get them started, they can talk about anything, and you just never know what's going to come out. We were having lunch yesterday in Skerries before we left to come up and do the BBC thing last night. Lads were having a look, and then something come up about Pochine, and Barry says, "Yeah, I remember we went round to see Alice Cooper one night, and we were all dressed up. It was Paddy's night or something. We were all dressed in Irish gear, whatever, and we were bringing a bottle of Pochine to Alice Cooper, and I go, went to see Alice Cooper, and I said, "Did he like the Pochine?" He said, "No, we dropped it on his doorstep on the way in." And Lockhart goes, "Were we there?" How can you not forget bringing Pochine to Alice Cooper?
And it had a little, like the worm in the bottle of tequila, it had a little shamrock, a withered shamrock in the top of it. We were so proud of it. And we were going to see Vince, who'd become by way of a friend. In fact, Alice Cooper famously is a golf-loving Republican, but we got to know him. And so we're bringing this. You're right, we're bringing this birthday present around. You'd think you'd remember a thing like that, Jim, wouldn't you?
Well, I greatly regret not remembering I greatly regret not remembering the John Mayle thing, because I don't know if you can repeat that. You can't even tell that. Okay, yeah.
Oh, go on.
No.
Friends, go on.
I can't tell it because I don't remember it.
You will.
But it's a great sorrow to me, because obviously I missed out on a lot of fun.
Maybe you'd had the bottle of Pochine on the way round.
Jim will circulate among the crowd after the gig and tell you the thing he doesn't remember. Privately.
there was one, actually, speaking of Pochine, now that you mentioned Pochine, but let's come back. There was one absolutely, and it was truly a mad night. It was in 1974, 73, 74. the reception for the Toyne album at the Irish Embassy in London.
Reception for what was it, John?
The Toyne album.
Oh, right,
It was
yeah,
held in the Irish Embassy. Now, Puchin had been smuggled in that night. And no, I have to say, I don't think, in all honesty, any of us can really remember what went on. But it was one truly mad night. And that's all I can tell you.
Just loving the look on Jim's face. He's just sitting there going, "Oh,
The English
yeah."
music press, we put the Puchin in the Punch. And the members of the English music press thought the Punch was great, and a good few of them didn't turn up and work for about 2 weeks. Genuinely, really. The Charles Shaw voice of this world. But there was another night that in New York there was a launch. DJ M put an album launch on in New York. I do remember this because I've seen the photographs. And the publisher woman's name, the actress Maureen O'Sullivan, was it? And so she was like the guest of honour, and they said, we'll do some Irish for the Irish guys, you know. And the principal thing that they'd done was they had like shamrocks and blarney stuff around the place, and I think it was in an Irish pub. But they had recruited a couple of dwarfs, and they decked them out in kind of half leprechaun outfits, but with Kaiser Wilhelm spiky helmets.
It's like the Wizard of Oz.
It was so bizarre. I mean, it was
Straight out of Spinal Tap.
total Spinal Tap. So what do you do? I mean, I've lost. There is a picture somewhere extant of me talking to one of these dwarfs with the spiky helmet.
Maybe they heard you like the spike thing, so they spiked the dwarfs for you. Which sort of leads on to the questions. I can't remember who asked this. It's a bit blunt. Why didn't you crack the States?
Puchin.